Was there an advanced civilization before us? Chat, lock in.
And civilization before us? Millions believe one existed during the last ice age, and that a cataclysm erased every trace. But I spent weeks going through the actual peer-reviewed evidence to find out the truth. Let's find out.
Hell no, there was not an advanced civilization before us. Wouldn't we find their fossils and shit? Like, when you actually go back, there were civilizations in the BC time that had, like, advanced tools, but they were still stuck in the Stone Age, you know? You, like, using obsidian blades or sharpened stones, sticks. Maybe they had bow and arrows, but, like, I mean, they weren't, you know, fucking crafting armor out of metal in, like, 5000 BC.
But how long it takes to erase a civilization? For decades,
Were they?
the academic consensus was straightforward. Human culture slowly evolved in complexity, inventing agriculture, then civilization, only around 5,000 years ago. But then something strange emerged from the...
I always think about the first motherfucker that had to get bareback on a horse. You ever think about that shit? Like, we tamed horses, like, in... I don't know if it was, like, in Asia. I'm pretty sure horses originated from Asia, but, like, you're in, like, Mongolia, and you were just, like, you snuck up to a horse and then just got on top of it. It was probably, like, taming it first. You know, where you, like, kind of feed it food, and then it becomes more friendly with you, and then you try to ride it, but it's like...
archaeological...
That had to be hard. That had to be so hard.
Agriculture didn't develop in one place and spread from there. It was independently invented in 6 separate regions, all after the Ice Age ended. That's a remarkable coincidence. Author Grant Hancock has an explanation. 12,000 years ago, there was an advanced civilization that was wiped out by the catastrophic end of the last Ice Age.
The city of Atlantis? What the fuck are we talking about? There was an advanced civilization.
Survivors scattered across the world and seeded new cultures, which is why civilizations seem to appear everywhere at once. And honestly, the idea isn't crazy on its face. We know...
No, it's fucking insane. If there was an advanced civilization that close together, and then after an ice age they all split off, why are they all the same, like, ethnicity? Wouldn't that not be... Like, wouldn't that not make any sense? Like, maybe I'm not just understanding this, but if they had, like, an advanced central civilization and then the Ice Age caused everybody to split off and start rebranching societies elsewhere, like, they wouldn't become different ethnic people in that time frame after the Ice Age till now. Like, they would have had to all be like, okay, well, all the Mayans come with me. We're gonna go down there.
At the end of the last Ice Age was brutal. Temperatures swung...
Mutations? Bro, what, did a fucking nuclear bomb go off? What do you mean mutations?
...violently during the Younger Trias.
That's like thousands of years. I'm pretty sure the last Ice Age was not too... The last Ice Age was 20,000 years ago. That is not enough time. Did he say 200,000 years ago? The last Ice Age was 20k years ago. That is not enough time for them to change ethnic background.
And when it ended, sea levels rose by hundreds of feet, swallowing coastlines whole. So when skeptics ask, where's the evidence? Hancock and his supporters have an answer ready. The Earth ate it. The rising sea levels covered up coastal settlements while comet impacts caused global destruction. Villages...
How are we finding fucking dinosaur bones, but the Earth covered every other piece of evidence that this existed?
...were abandoned while advanced technology slowly corroded into dust. Randall Carlson, another prominent proponent, said that if a cataclysm happened to our society, after 10,000 years, only Mount Rushmore and the pyramids would be left.
Well, it's really how advanced are these civilizations? Wouldn't there be record of, like, chemical activity or radiation or... I mean, like, radiation would disappear, but I'm saying, like... Wouldn't there be some sort of, like, chemical or biological aftermath that would still be readable, even if there wasn't physical, you know, artifacts from a time of an advanced civilization? There would be some sort of means... I almost just turned shield mode on, my bad. There'd be some way of telling.
And if that's true for us, there would be nothing left of a civilization that thrived all the way back during the Ice Age. But would everything in our society really turn to dust in only 10,000 years? Luckily for us, a random 1980 study from the US Department of Energy answered just that. They set out to find the best materials to make nuclear waste containers that would last for thousands of years. And the results are catastrophic for Carlson's argument. First, let's look at steel. a material that corrodes quickly. Steel corrodes at a maximum of 4.8 inches every 10,000 years, meaning that a steel axe would almost certainly turn to dust in way less than 10,000 years.
Dude, turn to dust? I knew it corroded and rusted. I didn't know it would go away that quick. Wait, so something like the Statue of Liberty, do they have to constantly repair that? Because at some point, isn't it going to become so structurally unsound that it's like unusable?
But larger
all the time. What's copper? It's still a metal that corrodes.
Objects such as a solid anvil or engine block might still be around. And remember, 4 inches is the maximum corrosion rate. The minimum rate is only 0.73 inches after 10,000 years. So an anvil...
Copper doesn't corrode. Yes, copper corrodes. It doesn't rust. Instead, it oxidizes to perform a protective layer. Don't you always wish you could see the Statue of Liberty before it turned green? I always think about that shit, bro. When the French gave it to us, it was fucking brown.
5, especially if buried. Everyone knows that steel corrodes quickly, but what about copper? At a maximum, copper corrodes 0.54 inches every 10,000 years, meaning that if this copper axe blade sat exposed for 10,000 years, this is what it would look like. But if it was buried, it would take 29,000 years to corrode just half an inch. And this is confirmed by the archaeological record. Copper artifacts have been found dating back to well over 8,500 years ago, many still in great condition.
How did they figure out how... Wait, hold up. Actually, genuine question here. How did they figure out how to use metal off, like, in earlier societies? Like, obviously, I understand, like... I keep using the word obviously too much. Sorry. I know that obsidian flaking exists and rock flaking, where they start, hitting rocks against each other or sharp objects, and then they basically create a blade through, like, enough repetition. But with something like metal that they have to, like, smelt down, how are they getting that out of the ground in a hunk that is then formable to a metal that they could use? I'm not even talking about steel, where they're, like, combining things. Like, I'm not talking about Andrew Carnegie shit, where it's like, oh, it was really expensive to make this. I'm saying, like, early iron work. I'm assuming they got, like, really big iron fragments out of the ground, and then they just put it in a really hot fire and then went boom, 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 and shaped it. And that was, like, before they were able to combine metals to make them stronger.
Technology existed at the end of the last ice age, we would without a doubt find evidence. But we don't. What about gold? How would this gold coin look in 10,000 or 100,000 years? Well, just like this. Pure gold does not corrode whatsoever. If this supposed civilization ever made a gold ring, coin, or bar, we would be able to find one. But the oldest gold artifacts are only about 6,000 years old.
Holy aura. Wow. Yo, he got buried with, like, fucking $1 million in gold on his body, bro. That shit has to be so expensive.
Years old. But what if this civilization had existed way before us, like 300,000 or over 1 million years ago? We actually have millions of artifacts from this time period. Archaeologists have found stone tools dating back well over 3 million years ago. There are literal fields of ancient hand axes made by other human species in Africa that are still sharp. This very hand axe was actually collected...
This is what I was talking about, though, where they're, like, flaking rocks.
...by a friend of mine in South Africa. In all likelihood, it is the handiwork of another human species. It's really insane when you think about it. Stone tools last virtually forever, and so does glass. If a civilization ever made a glass cup or a window, we could find evidence. But ceramics are a different story. Believe it or not, there is evidence of ceramics dating back to 30,000 years ago.
Some wrecking balls.
At the site of Dolní Věstonice in Czechia, archaeologists have discovered small ceramic figurines that were superheated in furnaces. They are associated with the Gravettian culture, a people that made stone tools, lived in temporary huts, and hunted megafauna. And if some random figurines made by Stone Age hunters can survive 30,000 years, so could evidence of an advanced civilization. But that's just not the case. Ceramic...
Oh, no, but the Earth buried it. Oh, no, but the Earth buried it. You don't understand. There was an advanced civilization. They had flying cars. I mean, think of the Jetsons. And then the asteroids hit.
Technology was never used for anything useful by the Gravetians, and they eventually
Then the asteroids hit, and we said, let's divide everybody by race and send them to different islands, and they'll start their own civilizations there.
abandoned the practice.
Fucking stupid-ass idea.
It would take thousands of years for humans to rediscover ceramics first in China and gradually throughout the rest of the world, and none of this evidence suggests the existence of a civilization. What's more is that Randall's argument completely falls apart when we look at other forms of evidence.
What bird is that? Is that like a peacock fucking dinosaur hybrid, dude? What am I looking at?
Randall's argument completely falls apart when we look at other forms of evidence. We have dozens of entire perfectly preserved Ice Age animals that have remained frozen for over 30,000 years.
Wow, that's from 32,000 years ago? That's crazy it's that preserved, man.
These spears right here have survived 300,000 years in a German lake bed.
What? Some Homo sapien was using this shit 300,000 years ago? That's a good stick. That's like one of those walking sticks you find on a hike and you take it home.
Years in a German lake bed because they were in a low oxygen environment. The Earth ate it argument collapses under scrutiny, and honestly it is the main reason I don't believe the ancient civilization narrative. I have personally found copper artifacts dating back over 5,000 years from the old copper culture of North America. Furthermore, the lead pollution from the old copper culture is detectable in lake sediment cores, and elsewhere where ice cores have proven that there is no evidence.
Wait, that's what I was saying. Like, even if you weren't able to see it itself, you're able to tell that it was there.
Cores, and elsewhere where ice cores have proven that there is no evidence of metallurgy during the last glacial period. If there was a lost civilization, it wasn't using metal or creating anything on par with even Bronze Age societies. We would find not only their gold, copper, ceramics, but also the stone for their houses. Civilizations are inherently messy. They have trash heaps, abandoned buildings, graves, roads, and we can't point to any of that before the Ice Age. But what about Gobekli Tepe? At 12,000 years old, surely it is proof of a civilization in the Ice Age. It is a legitimately
Wow, this is a civilization from 12,000 years ago?
massive complex full of giant stone slabs and symbolism. The culture that made this had to organize.
I never understand those things. Like, what's that one stone rock area where it's like circular and it's just abandoned? Or like those, the Maui heads. What are they called?
Large workforces and clearly
Stonehenge, and then what am I thinking of?
they were culturally
Easter Island. Yeah. What the fuck? They just built those and then left?
complex. But does this really count
That's like a cool-ass mystery.
as a civilization? A civilization is defined as a human society with urban settlements, division of labor, centralized government, surplus food, and some kind of record-keeping or writing system. Based on this criteria, archaeologists generally don't consider Gobekli Tepe a civilization, but rather a pre-agricultural monumental complex. No evidence of agriculture has been found at the site, nor has pottery or writing been found. Evidence suggests that it was not a urban settlement, but rather a gathering place made by hunter-gatherers. But to truly understand
A gathering place what? Like they would diverge and then come back and like party here or some shit? I mean, we learned about that one area where they had like a weird bar like 10,000 years ago and they would ferment shit.
the site,
Celebrate there once a year.
we need to understand where it came from. Gobekli Tepe is not the only structure of its kind. Thousands of years before Gobekli Tepe, the Natufian culture first
That's this! that's literally what this is.
started making
Oh
permanent
my god, I was like, why do I know I was like, I've heard that.
stone structures in the region. They hunted gazelle and harvested mass quantities of wild grains which they ground into bread. These grains were harvested in abundance and even stored for lean times. This allowed them to spend more time working on their structures and technology. They started making communal structures, and gradually, larger and larger stones were quarried and carved with complex symbols. Eventually, after 3,000 years of development, 6 times longer than the Roman Empire, these skills culminated into larger structures like Karahan Tepe and Gobekli Tepe. Gobekli Tepe didn't appear out of nowhere, and we know a ton about the people who made it. But what about other ancient structures that may predate Gobekli Tepe by thousands of years? Many often point to the Eye of the Sahara, a 25-mile wide megastructure in the middle of nowhere. It is known as the Richat structure, and it is often claimed to be proof of the lost city of Atlantis.
I feel like it's some weird natural
The
formation.
concentric rings certainly make it look like Plato's description. But again, What does the evidence say? In the 1950s, it was initially hypothesized to have been an impact crater from a meteor, but more recent studies in the early 2000s found that it was a deeply eroded underground magmatic intrusion. At approximately 100 million years old, it formed during the age of the dinosaurs. But since then, humans have indeed frequented this structure for over 1 million years. The outer ring actually has deposits of quartzite, a hard and sharp material great for making stone tools. Hundreds of ancient hand axes from species like Homo erectus have been found. Later, our own species moved in and around the structure and lived there for
erectus, other humans?
Thousands of years, especially during the African humid period when the region was lush. They left behind stone tools, burials, and fossils that have been radiocarbon dated to 10 to 15,000 years ago in the structure. The only evidence of permanent buildings are small and are still used to this day by nomadic groups which live in and around the structure. The Richat structure holds an unbroken record of human activity spanning over 1 million years. Not one moment of it looks like a civilization. If it was once a city the size of Paris, surely there would be some compelling evidence to discuss. The Earth-aided argument is not going to cut it. But we still haven't answered the question, why did humans suddenly start to farm in about 6 independent centers all around 10,000 years ago? It is a legitimately interesting question.
Yeah, but it wasn't the exact same year, dude. It was like around the same era.
Looking at the map of where these cultures appears make it seem like Graham may actually have a point. But the answer is simpler than you might think. Look at this graph. During the last glacial period, the climate was all over the place.
Oh my god, you just couldn't, the fucking climate didn't allow you to farm.
The only thing constant was cold temperatures.
Wow.
But when this period ended roughly 12,000 years ago, the Earth suddenly warmed. And more importantly, the climate stabilized. This made the environment much more predictable. Humans could finally rely on certain plants in certain locations year after year. This led to increased cultivation, dedicated crop fields, and eventually the plants themselves became domesticated, becoming easier to plant and producing more calories. The reason that this transition occurred in 6 different centers is because the entire world became warmer and more predictable. Human progress has exploded ever since. I'm not convinced that there is evidence for a lost civilization. If you are, tell me in the comment section and I'll look into it. As of now, the evidence supports that humans were able to figure out agriculture all around the world independently. Just like chimps didn't need anyone to teach them how to use stone tools over 4,300 years ago, and some have even started flint knapping. So are chimps entering their own stone age?
Oh, we already watched that video. Buddy, I already know that. Yeah, they are. It's going to be a dangerous problem soon. We're going to have a Planet of the Apes situation on our hands. Short answer, no. Long answer, no. Wow, WVID. That was fun. All right.